So after the 100th anniversary of Lionel and the Century of Lionel documentary, TM released I Love Toy Trains number 9 in 2001. Without further delay, let's delve into the 9th installment and see what's included in this video. In the first segment, we pay a visit to Dick Brown's multi-loop layout, plus his super elevated figure 8s and his trains running around the light fixture ceiling. His idea is that he wanted to run as many trains as he possibly can at one time without having one of the trains to fly off the tracks and break. And to operate many of the trains so fast, that's pretty bold for a guy who likes to play with electric trains. I mean, look how fast they were going. They were running so fast around the layout, yet they'd seldom derail. His fastest train on the layout is the Northern Pacific F3. Well, a little too fast, if it meant that the train was going at such a high speed and it made the caboose whiplash off the track after the train had gone around the curve. And maybe Jeff was right about some adults who don't listen. Sometimes there's some things that might get the better of us, that we're too busy to pay attention to someone who's trying to be the voice of reason or to warn us at what we're doing. I guess that might have been a life lesson that we can learn from Jeff. We then see a brief segment about Lionel's 13 Colony train from 1976, in celebration of the 1976 bicentennial from the USA and the American Freedom Trains. We then cut to one of the most important segments in the entire video, the history of the New York Central's Hudson and the scale model that Lionel had made. It was Joshua Lionel Cowan's favorite engine. It was the 1930s at the time. Lionel only made some tinplate toy trains, but then when Mr. Cowan saw the Hudson, he decided to go sicko mode by showing the other scale modelers the greatest and bestest model in the world. Build the best model in the world, or I'll eat your soul. In 1937, Lionel had produced a model that would change the model railroading industry forever. It was this impressive scale model of the New York Central's Hudson with a lot of sophisticated detail, accompanied with some scale freight cars and a scale caboose. This Lionel Hudson had set a new benchmark against other scale modelers and their trains. It will go down in history as one of Lionel's greatest achievements ever. The model had become the crown jewel of any Lionel catalog, and even today, it still is one. Now here's the scene with Jeff himself. He was sitting behind a green screen station with some shots of tinplate trains passing by from behind. He was opening up a Lionel box, and inside was a piece of paper with a phone number written on it. And who else to talk to on the phone but the owner of Lionel himself, Joshua Lionel Cowan, who is only portrayed by Bruce Manson talking on the phone. And Jeff had made that face at the end as he puts the phone down after talking to him. I mean, that face! He looked like he had been talking to the ghost of Lionel Cowan, who was already dead 35 years ago when the video was made. I swear, Jeff just looked speechless in here. I mean, he was startled and speechless at the same time after he has been talking to him. I mean, he just... Man, this is priceless. We visit a second layout of the video, which is Lou Palumbo's Underground Hobby Shoppe Railroad, with his really cool layout display with the trains running. And now we're going to address the elephant in the boxcar, this time for real.
What the fuck? Holy shit!
Vinny Boombats. He's a dummy puppet owned by Lou Palumbo from the shop, and he's based on a Jerry Mahoney dummy puppet from the 1950s. This motherfucker used to freak some of us out when we're little kids. I mean, whenever you see Vinny on the screen, chances are you'll find him to be a bit creepy and gives off some of that horror movie vibes. I once used to be afraid of him when I was younger, but over time, as I carefully see him in I Love Toy Trains 9 and I Love Toy Trains 11, I've got a little used to him. I mean, in Part 9, he's actually really funny because of his fast-speaking voice. I honestly like his voice in here better.
I sure like all these trains going by. There's a Rio Grande and a Santa Fe. I love these trains, kids. They use trains for everything. They use them for people carriers. oil trains. That long train there is carrying a lot of oil. Look at that Rio Grande. I like that Rio Grande.
That's what I'm talking about! That's why he's the MVP! That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Look at all these buildings here. There's a movie theater, and we got a McDonald's I can eat at when I go to the ball game. Wow, what's that on top of that building? A gorilla! Oh, man! He scared the willies out of me.
Just a month ago at Edison, me and train fans were competing to see who would get the Jerry Mahoney puppet first, so we can use him to create a replica of Vinny. One who saves up the most money will be able to buy him first. I bet train fans is going to shoot the hoop for it. For me, I have a big steep hill to climb up there. The Jerry Mahoney dummy puppets cost between $900 to $1,000, and I won't be able to afford it yet until I have plenty of money on my budget. Now in this segment, the video had introduced a brand new concept to the type of Hall of Fame, the Toy Train Hall of Fame. It's where they had all the best toy trains primarily manufactured by Lionel, and a list to count down the top 5 of the most popular and legendary toy trains to be ever made in history. Starting with standard gauge, it picks the first 5 inductees to count down some of the classic sets that Lionel had ever produced during the 1920s and 1930s, all the way down to number 1 with the most popular of all. While this is a great top 5 list that Jeff had made, I wanted to show everyone my personal list of the first 5 inductees into the All-American Standard Gauge Toy Train Hall of Fame. So here we go. Here are my first 5 inductees. Number 5, the 400E, also known as the Big Daddy. Cataloged in 1931, this was Lionel's biggest and most powerful standard gauge steam engine. This handsome steamer was the definitive icon of Lionel's standard gauge line. Lionel had produced this model into other sets in different colors, like the Stephen Girard and the Blue Comet. Number 4, the Mayflower. This gorgeous, sleek, and shiny model is one of American Flyer's best sets they had ever made. The chrome tin plate that has the lights reflect off the shiny surface of this beauty. This perhaps became Jeff's favorite standard gauge train, and it was a marvelous sight to see this glistening down the track. It even comes with a mechanical bell attached to the model, making that clanging noise as it runs. Number 3, the Ives Circus Train. Cool set, snazzy locomotive design, and colorful backdrop. Need I say more? The Ives Circus Train is another fabulous set in the standard gauge line, and despite its staggering cost of money, it certainly was impressive to look at. The Ives 442 locomotives were another one of my favorite standard gauge steam engines, and it could be either for this set, the National Limited, and the Prosperity Special. Number 2, the State Set, also known as
the giant 4-car Transcontinental Limited.
This smart 2-tone green set that consists of a 381E electric locomotive with 4 passenger cars labeled California, Colorado, Illinois, and New York, all named after the states of America. It was probably the second most iconic set Lionel has ever made for the standard gauge line. Another cool set. It even comes with the detail inside the passenger cars too, with the seats and toilet inside them. And now on to number 1. Drumroll please. The Blue Comet. Personally, I think it was such a beautiful and eye-catching set. Even to me as a kid, I love any Blue Comet, whether it was by Lionel or MTH. They're another kind of train that is also painted in blue besides Thomas the Tank Engine. The standard gauge Blue Comet comes with a handsome 400E locomotive with a set of 4 passenger cars, sometimes 3 of them. The passenger cars were labeled Bernard, Fay, Westfall, and Temple. All were named after actual comets. And the striking red wheels contrasted seamlessly with the beautiful blue coat of paint. Out of all the standard gauge sets, the Blue Comet is the most incredible set of all. And that is my list of the first 5 inductees into the All-American Standard Gauge Toy Train Hall of Fame. What were some of your picks for the Standard Gauge Toy Train Hall of Fame? Leave a comment below and tell me why they're one of your picks for the first 5 inductees. I would like to hear one of them. For the blooper segments, we see 2 of them, mostly outtake segments of the MyJack crane, yet again, and the Lionel standard gauge set, where we see the state set taking off first before the blue comet. But as soon as the blue comet starts running, it accidentally hits a lamppost just over there to the right where you can see it. It was only an accident. For the songs done by James Coffey, there was Legends of the Rails. Again, it was previously heard in another toy train video that came out a few years prior, but it also became a very popular song and a fan favorite from train fans, and many people on YouTube had done music videos and covers off of it. While Legends of the Rails was everyone's favorite James Coffey song, it wasn't one of my personal favorite songs. Besides, it's kinda overrated, and I heard it many times before, but one of my personal favorite songs from James Coffey was Toy Train Hall of Fame. I preferred the standard gauge version of the song because it was the best version. I do love that lit standard gauge suspension bridge. It looks so beautiful to look at, and that fog machine effect all around it is just an incredible sight. This is peak craftsmanship. It was all done by the dedicated work from Tom and his crew. Did they learn the techniques from David Mitton to do something visually impressive like this? I guess so. In the end, Part 9 is a fantastic volume from the series. The Toy Train Hall of Fame, Dick Brown's layout, the New York Central's Hudson, the unsettling but fun introduction of Vinny the Puppet, and Legends of the Rails that became a very popular song from train fans. Literally everyone knew about Legends of the Rails, and even if they weren't fans of James Coffey, nor I Love Toy Trains, they still knew about the song as a standout from the rest of this music. Awesome video. Now, will Part 10 be even better than Part 9? Well, we'll see how it is once we look at it tomorrow.